Welcome to the 60 Plus Podcast.
I'm Janet.
And I'm Joe. How are you today, Janet? Oh, I beat you to it.
I was going to ask you the same thing. Oh, my goodness.
Well, geez, we've only done it like 60-something times.
Telepathy.
Hardly. How are you, Janet?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, good.
I'm very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's another beautiful,
It is beautiful.
fall day here in New England.
And we always have that, don't we?
We do.
We'll always have sunshine.
What's that line from the Humphrey Bogart movie, Casablanca?
We'll always have Paris.
We'll always have Paris, yes. We don't have Paris, Janet. You and I don't have Paris.
No, but we have sunshine.
We have sunshine.
Yep.
What are we talking about today, Janet?
We have a real talk guest. We have Deb today.
Hi, Deb.
Hey there. Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Really nice to be a part of this.
Yeah,
Did you see? Did you hear what she said, Janet? She said, "I'm well."
Oh, stop.
She did.
He always gives me a hard time because I guess
Deb,
apparently
thank you so much.
I'm not
You just
grammatically
made my
correct.
You made my day.
He likes you already, Deb.
I do. I'm not like
Yes,
a
you are.
crazy grammarian.
Yes, you are.
But no, I have two
You
grammar
are
things.
crazy.
Well, I am crazy. I have two grammar things that like just rankle me.
Yeah, I think we all get it.
The
Deb.
I'm well. How are you? I'm well. That's the correct way. And the Oxford comma. We all know the
Oh,
Oxford
please,
comma is the only
I do
way to
not
go.
want to debate you about that. Yes.
All right. Sorry about that.
The man who uses an Excel spreadsheet to organize his drawers. No, that was a little okay. That's not true. That wasn't fair.
I've thought about it.
I know. I was gonna say I must have hit a trigger. You got quiet there.
I have thought about it. It seemed like a lot of work.
Yes. Okay. So,
And you know how
but
I
I
am.
bet you have a label maker on your drawers. Label maker label. Mm-hmm.
I have 3 label makers.
Gotcha.
I have one on each
I
floor
think
of
that
my
just
house.
puts all of this in context. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. All right.
So let's get to it.
We were looking for a cable.
Deb is sitting here waiting for us.
Wait, we were looking for a cable earlier, and you pulled out this box, and it was just this like web of stuff that was
I've
in there.
saved every cable known to man since 1989.
Since
I don't know. I think I still have all my phones too.
Do you?
Well, you never know.
I
You
trade
might
mine
need
in
them.
and get the discount.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, we really need to talk to Deb.
Oh, why?
Well, because she's waiting.
Hi, Deb. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So
You're
rude. Joe.
wonderful.
Okay. All right. So, Deb, Janet said this is a real talk episode. And the first thing, and we have 10 questions for you. This doesn't count as one of the questions, though. You have to admit,
Okay.
You have to admit to being over 60.
I am.
Okay.
Yay!
All
Join
right.
the club.
Congratulations.
Woohoo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
what-
actually an achievement to make it to 60.
I
right?
think so.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. A big
I'm in a happy place.
good.
Good.
That counts.
We are too, as you might tell.
So we will begin by asking you 10 questions and you just have to answer them. It's very easy. The first question I'm going to start. How do you feel about being 60 plus?
I think at first when you are leaving your 50s and entering the big 6-0, it seems a little intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with it comes a sense of calmness, experience, accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Really, looking
Surrender.
back,
I give up. No.
just looking back at the last 6 decades of your life and honoring friends, honoring family, just everything that you've contributed. And I don't know if it's really a time where you're thinking about your legacy, the big L word, but
Right.
you start to kind of think, I need to get my ducks in a row here. If I
Mhm.
have 2 or 3 decades left, how do I want to live those?
Yeah.
And then maybe you even start to think about taking your health a lot more seriously. So I think
Yes.
it's a combination of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good answer.
Yep.
All right. Complete the sentence, Deb. You know you're 60 plus when.
You look at your stomach in the mirror.
All the crunches in the world.
When that belt just doesn't buckle.
Well, you just get a different belt. It's an easy fix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you just don't get a
Or
belt. You
or you
get
can
an
start
oversized shirt.
or you can start belly dancing.
Well, you could, or you could just get elastic waist pants.
Well, that's what a lot of us do. But it's
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. We like flowy things now.
Do we? Do we? Is it like who's the woman from Fleetwood Mac?
Uh,
Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks. All
Climb
those.
the mountain and I turn around.
Okay.
Now that you're in your 60s, do you do anything differently?
Well, I've always been super positive and happy and always embraced life to the nth degree. I think maybe there's more of a moment of reflection
Mm-hmm.
on myself and maybe the consequences of my actions on other people. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like my role as a parent, although my kids have grown, is a lot more intense and supportive
Mm-hmm.
versus, oh my God, I've got to feed you lunch today. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. And then I also feel a responsibility to keep the relatives sort of, not at arm's length in a negative way, but just making sure that I'm always connecting with my family and my relatives.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice.
So just a follow up. This isn't one of the original 10
Yeah, sure.
questions. Which is easier, feeding them lunch or dealing with them the way they are now?
Dealing with their emotional problems.
So, for example, my daughter had her first big breakup
Mm.
and it was awful. And it was, hours of her crying to me on the phone and just trying to get her over that hump. And it was dreadful because I knew that ultimately that's part of her experience in relationships. But I think not being able to prevent that, right? Your initial
Right.
instinct when you have kids is you shield them from harm,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't, right? There's a certain point where they're out there.
Right.
They have to scrape their knee sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
So
can't be
yes.
it can't be there all the time for them when they're adults. They're finding their own way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next
Okay.
question. Looking back on your 60 plus years, what are you most proud of?
I would say my career accomplishments, as well as the challenges that I've given myself to accomplish, like my personal challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that, wow, I can do a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and it's sort of driving yourself towards these various goals and realizing that you can accomplish them. It's so satisfying.
It is. It is. Excellent. Yes. Okay. So, what is your biggest challenge at 60 plus?
Dating. It's impossible.
Well,
It's really impossible. It is absolutely impossible.
Okay. Well, okay.
it's impossible.
hard.
It's impossible at times. It's not impossible in perpetuity.
100% all the time. What do
Okay.
you say? Tell us some more about this.
Yeah. Why is it impossible?
Okay. I think it's a multifaceted answer. So it's almost like putting a round peg in a square hole. Because at this point in your life, you're set in your ways. You've probably been through a divorce. You're protective of your assets. You're protective of your emotional stability. And you've got this little fiefdom that you've established, right? Think about it.
Mhm.
Maybe you own a home or you have a circle of friends, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, you're fitting yourself into somebody else's life, and that person is fitting into yours.
Mhm.
And there's all kinds of complications. There's, oh, the kids don't like each other, or the kids are never around, or there's health issues, or they're dating a million people. And that's just one aspect of how I find it so difficult. The other difficulty is just communication in general.
Mhm.
Being able to reach out to somebody on a dating app is really quite arduous.
Mhm.
And it takes so long to drum up a conversation, meet people that you feel compatible with. then go out on a couple of dates, and then sort of circle back to say, hey, is this something that we want to do together? And it's that ambiguity that I find so incredibly difficult. Whereas, what happened when we were 20 years old, we met someone at a party, you fall madly in love, right? And then there you go.
Hmm.
But for some reason, there's a lot of, I'm not going to say barricades because that's not a good word, but there's so many stipulations and so many reasons that a relationship won't work or even get
Hmm.
off the ground. And I know that that's a pretty common assumption. It doesn't mean that it's for everybody, but I think if you're a career oriented, and I so don't want to sound sexist, but I feel like, you're a career oriented woman. You're working a lot of hours. You are not giving up any kind of drive or trajectory in that area. And you've got to find somebody that fits into that picture and will not require sacrifices.
Hmm.
And I think there's a whole other list of issues as well. So I don't mean to sound like
No,
Debbie Downer.
I'm hearing what you're saying. It doesn't fit the traditional mode. I think that's
No.
part of the challenge, perhaps. We've done a few episodes on this very subject.
Hmm.
Like the one that comes to mind is living apart together,
Hmm.
which that is like a trend that kind of addresses exactly what you're saying, where you have your own homes, you have your own circle of friends, your family events, but then you are still committed, but you come together as needed, wanted. We talked about the success factors of that. And one of the key ones was communications
Always.
and having set expectations about how it's going to work. But it was very accommodating of both parties and very understanding of those separate lives that the two people had outside of being together, but it was still a committed relationship. I think that breaks the typical traditional mold. And I think that's why it's becoming such a big trend for people in our age group.
I also,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
I also
No, you go
think that when you're in your 20s, what you're looking for in a partner is very different than what you're looking for in a partner in your 60s. In your 20s, you're looking for
exactly.
perhaps someone to get married
Mm-hmm.
to have children with, and merge two lives into one,
Yeah.
where it's not necessarily the case when you're in your 60s.
No, you're not necessarily merging lives. You
And
know,
let's face it, when you're in your 20s, there's a lot you don't know. I kind of go into it as a
right. Yeah.
dumb, right?
Yeah. And in your 60s, like you said, you have, like Deb, you said, you have a lot of experiences and potentially baggage or whatever it is that you're bringing to the party. And you're not necessarily as willing to conform to the needs of another person altogether.
And I also think that which I find really interesting, there's this element of women feeling like they're constantly being unwrapped like a candy cane or a piece of candy. And I'm not saying that I look at intimacy any differently, but I'm not going to entertain a partner in order, entertain a partner as in make them look at me like a Victoria's Secret model. It's just not a priority. I'm looking for something that's deeper, on a deeper level,
Mhm.
and more meaningful. And it bothers me that that's a requirement or an assumption that I'm going to dress up like a candy cane in the
Mm.
bedroom,
Well,
because
yeah.
I need something more than that. Like, been there, done that. Are
Hmm.
you serious? Like, is this really, are you going to dress up like a candy cane? I mean, but it's, no,
Joe's nodding. Yes, he'll do it.
it's
Sure,
that
why not?
requirement. It's that assumption.
Yeah.
And can I just lay in bed and read a book with you? Like, what is up?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think with the dating situation with the apps, we talked about this too, Joe, recently about how the dating pool is so much bigger,
It sure is.
and then, you have, these maybe out of line expectations as I think what you're talking about. And that's just not for everybody. I think maybe part of it is establishing those expectations and communications in the beginning so that you're not, wasting your time and energy on something that doesn't align with your values or the way you would like to see your relationships go.
All right.
Joe wants us to move on.
Yeah, we gotta move on to the next
he's
question.
wiggling in his chair. He's getting very uncomfortable.
Good stuff, though, right? Good
Well,
stuff.
I've got my candy
I think
cane
it's
wrapper on
very-
underneath my
I
jeans.
think we might have to have. I think we might have to have a separate podcast just on this subject.
Maybe. All right, Deb. What's your biggest delight at being 60 plus?
Being emboldened to tell the truth.
This is such a common thing.
Oh, always.
Like you don't care what other people, you speak your mind and you don't care what people think about it.
Yeah. Well, it's not that you don't care. It's maybe you care
Oh, I know.
more about yourself and, representing, your feelings. And I think, maybe especially as a woman, I think in your past years, you may have buried them, hidden them, whereas now it's like, that's not necessary. Is that where you're going with that, Deb?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being considerate of other people and saying things that if they're negative, there'll definitely be consequences. But I just think that being emboldened to maybe state your feelings, state your opinions, just let people know, hey, that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you do something like that, it's not okay. It's not right. Yeah. I mean, I won't go into politics, but just the voices that I've been hearing the past couple of days have been so interesting, especially coming from women,
Mm-hmm.
vocalizing how they feel, vocalizing their perceptions. I think it's really important. And if I have to wait until I'm 60 to do that, or 80, I think what is Gloria Steinem, 85,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, better to do it at some point than never, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me follow up with that. You mentioned Gloria Steinem, but the question here is what 60 plus person do you admire the most?
Well, I might seem like I'm slanting a little feminist, but I would definitely say I think Jane Fonda is so super cool. I
Mhm.
love Gloria Steinem just
Mhm.
because I feel like they paved the way for women to be independent and proud of who they are.
We like to bust myths about being 60 plus.
Mhm.
Are there any myths that you would like us to bust? For instance, people over 60 can't use technology. People over 60 are less interested in intimacy. Those kinds of things.
Okay. Well, I would definitely say you can take on new skills like learning to fly, learning a
Mhm.
new language,
Mhm.
traveling around the world,
Mm.
Mhm.
becoming a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I think that it's endless. Getting a graduate degree, learning another language. Think
Yeah.
about all the things that you can do.
Yeah.
Travel around the world.
We're gonna hit
So
Deb
you're
up for
never too-
topics for 60 plus
Yes,
podcasts going
we're
forward.
never too old, right? Yeah, we're never too old. So yeah, you're not too old. That's the myth, right? You're too old to do X, Y, Z. Not true. Not true.
Not true.
And I think it's a matter of your mentality. I think
Mhm.
if you convince yourself that you're slowing down and you can't do things, and clearly, physiologically, I think you become that, right? You
Mhm.
manifest those negativities. But I don't look at my life or the expectations that I have for myself or my drive any differently, to be quite honest with you. I almost feel like I'm more driven
Yeah.
the older that I've gotten.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
Do you think that's
definitely.
because you feel like you have less time to do it? You can't put it off indefinitely?
Yeah, I definitely have a bucket list of stuff.
Ooh, we're gonna get to
Oh,
that. We're gonna
okay,
get
don't
to
go
that.
there yet.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
So,
sorry.
Yep. Next question. What advice would you give to someone who is about to turn 60?
Just get over it and move on and don't be
Get
just
over yourself.
Can't do anything about it, right? So just
fly to Paris for the
surrender.
weekend. Just
Yeah.
like go for it.
Yeah, I like that idea. Paris
It's
for
just
the
a
weekend.
number.
My daughter just flew to Ireland to see a concert last week.
I
so-
know, but she's not 60.
No, she's not. But I mean, she's got the right mentality.
Yeah, she does. She does.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, this is the last question.
Oh, bummer.
Do you have a bucket list?
So much fun.
Good.
Bucket list?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
what's on
of
it?
course.
What's on it? What's on it? Let's hear.
Flying to Paris for the weekend, reading a book in bed.
No, next to a hunky guy. No, stop.
Okay.
Well, no, here's I have a pretty good, can I say top 5?
Sure.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I would like to find a partner. I'm not going to say that's number 1. That's just on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So no particular
def-
order. This is the top
No
5.
particular order yet. Definitely want to travel way more. I've got just lots of places, Bali, Fiji, New Zealand. Yeah. I just can't keep myself from
You like long flights,
that.
don't you? Like long flights.
I don't care. I just know there's a big world out there and
Yep.
I am not satisfied.
Okay.
I need to see way more. I think experiencing cultures and what have you. But also my bucket list is making sure that I am financially stable enough to retire. And it's been something I've been really focusing on and playing around with, because while I feel pretty good about how I'm set up or how I've set myself up, I feel like, wow, I really have to answer some serious questions. How active do I want to be? Where do I want to live? Those are all huge questions
Yeah.
that are almost impossible to answer.
Mm-hmm.
They really are.
Mhm.
So that's another one. I think learning how to play pickleball
Yay.
is definitely on there. What else? What else? And probably just make sure that my kids are okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Is that good?
That's a
Yeah, those are
really
great.
great note to
Those are
end
great.
on too. Yeah.
Oh, and go to the Louvre. I've never been to the Louvre.
Oh,
all the
well,
years.
back to Paris.
Mhm.
Are you in
Yeah.
Paris for the
Paris?
weekend.
Come on.
Well, you need more than a
I
weekend
think
then.
No, I know.
we
I'm
need a
going to be
trip. We need a trip to Paris. It's on the list now.
I'm actually going next year, and I'm going by myself. And I'm so determined to get to the Louvre, because every time I've gone, there's been a line a million miles long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm literally going to be out there at 5 o'clock in the morning, just waiting to get in.
Good for you.
Did I say learn to fly?
Yes, you did.
Oh, good. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Have you ever done it? Have you ever?
Yes.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. But get my license.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually a little airport near here that you can
Oh,
do that.
and I want to start a nonprofit for women.
Ooh,
Mm,
that's good. I like that. We'll have to hear more about that.
mm.
All right. Those are the 10 questions. What did you think, Deb? Wasn't hard,
I
was
loved
it?
it. I love you. You're so easy to talk to. It's been a
Good.
pleasure.
Nice to
Yeah,
hear.
thanks so much for coming on. We really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for sharing all your perspective and whatnot.
All right, that's it for this week. Real Talk with Deb.
I'm Janet.
I'm Joe.
Bye.